Welcome back. September is Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. 70% of U.S. adults have experienced some kind of traumatic event in their lives and may suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder.
Our next guest is a Marine Corps vet that has found a way to conquer PTSD and conquer his fears. Akshay Nanavati is the author of a new book called Fearvana, the revolutionary science of how to turn fear into health, wealth, and happiness. Akshay, so good to see you here.
Thank you for having me.
It's been so fascinating following your story. When you came back from serving and were diagnosed with PTSD, kind of take us through what that whole process was like to your low point and how you were able to turn it around.
Sure. So it was a few years after I got back that I was diagnosed, and I was struggling with alcohol. So I remember still one day, after just 5 days of binge drinking, I woke up thinking this pattern is never going to change. And when I thought about taking my own life, that hit me really hard. I mean, it was shocking that I would even think that. So at that point, I realized something needed to change. And that's when I started reading books on neuroscience, on psychology, on spirituality, because I was getting some outside treatment, but I wasn't very happy with it. I mean, often I would leave the therapy office and go straight to the liquor store, and that didn't make sense to me, obviously. That shouldn't be right, right?
Counterproductive there.
Exactly, right? So I started figuring out my own way, and that's what led me to this concept of Fearvana and ultimately finding my bliss by engaging fear.
And by engaging fear, you're doing things, you're running incredible distances, you're swimming with sharks. Talk to us about that.
Yeah,
it's intense.
Adventure sports, pushing my limits in different categories, mountaineering the Himalayas, skiing across polar ice caps, running ultra marathons, going caving, really tight spaces. Ooh. All of these things terrified me. But that's why I do it, because when you experience that moment within yourself where you can rise above your own fears and tap into your courage, that's one of the most beautiful things you'll ever experience.
Well, and obviously others aren't going to necessarily dive, even though I would love to dive right there with that shark.
I mean, look,
come on. I'm the adrenaline junkie, but you know, you get that natural high from the adrenaline that I've heard you say kind of mimics what you would experience with alcohol or what somebody might experience with drugs. But you're doing this in a healthy way.
In a positive way, exactly. And like you said, you don't have to go ski across an ice cap or climbing a mountain. Ultimately, the thing you do doesn't matter. As long as it pushes you and whatever your limit is. But if it pushes you past your limits, your perceived limits, you'll experience something beautiful within yourself and you continue to grow. You'll experience that next stage of your personal evolution.
And that's great that you touched on that perceived limits. There's what we think we can't do, but then we always surprise ourselves. Now, okay, I was going through your book. Now, the heart here, I added that because I love the title of this chapter, but it says the gift of suffering. Now, usually, you guys, at home when you're thinking suffering, how is that a gift?
Usually.
How is that? But explain to us, how is that a gift?
So, suffering can be something you voluntarily seek out, right? Like the things that we're talking about, and then it's when suffering hits you. But I think both can be a gift. I mean, today I'm grateful for that moment that I was on my couch. It's something I never want to forget, because it led me to Fearvana, it led me to such higher highs. But I think the true value is when you're consciously seeking it out. And it can be in any way. My favorite way is exercise. I mean, I found my salvation through seeking out that worthy suffering, through running ultra marathons, through working out in the gym. And when you tap into that level within yourself, that you can say, I can do so much more, and you experience anything worthwhile, that one part of you wants to quit and the other wants to fight back, and you fight. I mean, you run ultra marathons, you know that when you fight against that one part of you, it's transformational. It's the most beautiful experience you'll ever tap into in your life.
You're right. It breaks down walls of what you think you can and cannot do, and it opens up a whole different level of living.
Yeah.
So for the person at home that's sitting there thinking, well, I'm not going to run an ultra, but maybe I could run my first 5K. I mean, it doesn't have to be super intense. It's just stepping outside your comfort zone.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, I used to hate long distance running, and when I was a kid, I was terrified of Ferris wheels. So it's not that I was born with this innate desire to do these things, right? But you work your way through suffering one step at a time, whatever that may look like for you. And as you do, you'll keep growing. And the beauty of it, till the day you die, you can keep growing, right? So
I love that, and just
incredible.
Little baby steps, but knowing and having that courage to do it. And I do know every time you finish something crazy, you do have that I want to do that again.
Yeah.
Or that was awful, but I did it. One or the other.
Right.
Where can people find Fearvana?
Fearvana.com.
Okay.
Fabulous.
Fearvana.com.
You're a rock star.
I've been listening to you online. I mean, your story is so inspirational. We're so honored to have you here. Thank you so much. We'll be back after this.